Okay, yeah, it's been a hot minute, but it's springtime. I was doing yard work and a bunch of other stuff, and I took a couple of days off. No big deal. Yeah, we'll get back into it. We'll figure it out. In any case, what I was doing partially over part of that time that did take a while, that was, I don't want to say all consuming, but it was a tad bit consuming, is I went back and I took that Xeon that we looked at before, both inside the Dell Optiplex and with an RX 480, and I went ahead and thought, well, maybe I can get a little bit more out of that with a better video card. So I tried an RX 6600 XT, and I finally got, well, not finally got, I got some results that helped me kind of pull these apart from the other 4-core, 8-thread, newer CPUs. And I'll kind of show these, but I'm not going to show a lot of them, and I'm not even really going to talk about them that much because, first of all, it's going to be a fairly short video. But second of all, I don't want to bore you with the details. All of these charts are going to look very, very similar. We just get to a point where that older Xeon hits a wall and it can't go any further. And in fact, in a couple of these tests, like Far Cry 6, I didn't list it here. I didn't show it on the charts that I'm gonna put up here. But 1440p and 1080p, I actually got very, very similar within margin of error for high, medium, and low, which I thought was really strange. But then I realized, yeah, that's a constraint of the CPU, not the GPU. The GPU didn't have anything to do with it. Something behind, something going on, whatever. I test multiple times to try to find out and try to see what was going on. But I had that happen a couple times where I was testing something and the numbers looked very similar, 1440 to 1080p. Now, it wasn't, in many cases, the CPU wasn't maxed out. It wasn't running 100%. I did even put extra memory in. I went ahead and put two 4 gig sticks in. So it had, the system memory was a total of 24. And it still fell way behind the current gen, or not current gen, but last generations, the 10th and 11th, a 4-core 8-thread. I tested it against a 10105F, or 10105F. So 4-core 8-thread, i3, and yeah, it fell behind. Now, is that in any way a bad thing for the Xeon? Nah, because how many people are going to try to pair that Xeon with an upper mid-range or an upper range, or a top of the line video card? It's just not going to happen. It's people that are buying this CPU for $28 and putting this motherboard for $18 and buying 16 gig of memory, DDR memory, for 16 or 20 bucks or something like that, are not going to spend $700 on a video card to slap in that puppy to try to game at 1440p. They're probably going to be playing at 1080p, and in which case, at that rate, at 1080p, all these are fundamentally the same. And that's why I had to, with the RX 480, go down to, if you saw my previous video about that, I had to go down to 1080p, 900p, and 720p just to be able to see some difference in them. There is a difference. Obviously, there's a difference. It's older architecture, but is it worth it? I mean, it was $28. I mean, the motherboard, all in, the motherboard, the memory, and all that stuff, we're probably, I think I put that entire build together with case and all that stuff. I think it was like $330 for everything. I'm sure you can find it cheaper, depending on what kind of video card you want to put in. If you've already got like a 1650 sitting around, or you already got something mid-range that you don't have to buy, like I was talking about in that video, the RX 580s, the upgraded, or the newer ones that come like an RX 570, those run anywhere between 80 and 100 bucks. I think all in on the system, similar to what I had, was about 330. You can probably do it for about 270. So you've got a decent 1080p gaming computer for under $300. So that's not horrible. Yeah, it's more than enough. And a comparable CPU would be something like an i7 4770 out of that same time frame on that same motherboard and all. And if you look on eBay, those are still selling for twice as much. as I bought this Xeon for. So it was very much worth the experiment. It was very much worth the effort and the time and all that stuff put into it. And actually, I'm gonna take the 6600 back out because that goes in my living room gaming PC. But I'm probably gonna go ahead and stick. I'll either stick the RX 480 back in there, or maybe I'll play around with the GTX 1660 just to see how that does. I'm not too upset that I can game really well at 60 frames per second in 1080p. Most everything I tested, the only thing that I had any trouble with at all, I think Cyberpunk 2077, I actually had to do 1080p low to get 59 or something like that, 59 frames per second or 60 frames per second. Everything else was good. I had over 60 or in some cases over 90. So very, very good. Temperatures stayed great. These were more than a match for each other. There were some times when I would look at the percentage of usage and they were both, up above 60%, which was awesome because if you've got one of them that's maxing out completely and one of them's not being used, then you know where your bottleneck is. But in certain cases, I mean, some games will tax the GPU, some will tax the CPU. And it's kind of obvious that this CPU is the eventual bottleneck with an upper mid-range video card, which means you're not going to run anything like a brand new high-end video card with it. But something like a budget video card, absolutely, all day long, and get 1080p and do just fine. So, I just kind of wanted to touch base. I realize it's been a little while. I've been doing a lot of stuff. It's springtime, been doing some spring cleaning, been figuring some stuff out, doing some yard work, a lot of stuff kind of going on outside of this channel, including trying to do some other stuff. A little bit more of a breakdown I've got on ThatPaulGuy.tech in the blog section. So I'll tell it's short, but as we get more people maybe more interested, maybe those will be longer. Who knows? Anyway, if you found the video helpful at all, I know it's not much. It's just a short little blurb, just kind of updating everybody on what I found with the Xeon. Perfectly good CPU, 4-core, 8-thread, perfectly great price at $28. You can get combos or deals or whatever on eBay and all that stuff for under $100. You can get a good working foundation or bare bones type thing that you can build off of. And so if you found it helpful at all, go ahead and throw a like on it. If you're not already subscribed, please do. I promise there's better content both before and after. It'll be coming, including that one right there. We're gonna okay. So that's one of the problems. But hey, it is what it is. So we'll figure it out and we'll get something going on it. And I'll probably even tell you guys what the problems were, or I might not. Who knows? But anyway, if you don't do any of the rest of that stuff, like hitting my other socials and all that stuff, do at least one thing for me, and that's be kind to each other. Do something nice. Smile, wave, tell somebody good morning, hold the door open, something, anything. You have no idea what kind of impact you have on somebody else's day, and one nice thing sometimes can be all it takes for somebody to have a really, really good day, and it might have been because of you. So until next time, when I get to that and some other stuff going on, and work on some backup storage and all that, I don't know what's coming next, but we'll figure it out as we go, right? So until next time, folks, I'll see you later.